weather outside is not that cold, and if you take my hand, I'll walk with you to Georgia.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Country with Celine. My name is Celine, and I will be your host for this podcast. And please welcome back Mr. Ben Chase. Ben, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's been a while.
It's been a minute. Last time we had a chat was it last year or the year before? I think it might have been 2021. No,
Yeah, we definitely had a chat at the CCMAs, but that was quick.
that was brief. That was brief.
But last time I was on here is probably like 2 years ago. I think it was like 2021.
Yeah, it was a while ago because you were one of like the first ones that I had on the show. I think you were like episode 20 or something like that, like very soon.
Wow, that's a great memory. Yeah, I haven't got much taller, but it's been a couple of years.
Oh my God, you're hilarious. Well, we've actually got closer though, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. You ain't a stranger anymore.
Yeah, we're not a stranger. Come to Nashville, it's always a good time down there.
Absolutely.
So talk about your life. I mean, I've been following you, obviously. I know a lot that happened last year. 2023 was a really big year, very eventful for you. I mean, you released your debut album. You were pretty much touring across Canada. I swear, every single time I looked at your videos, you were on a plane going somewhere else. You signed with AMG. So just how's life been like?
Yeah, it's been wild. It was a journey. Like it's crazy. Even like some people didn't realize, but like how strategic like you have to be sometimes as an artist. And like at the time, beginning of last year, I was completely self-managed. So I spent like all of 2022 when I first moved to Nashville, really mapping out a plan, like how I can make noise all year round. And it took a lot of thoughts and it took a lot of like planning and like when I had songs recorded, I want to release them, but I was like, I gotta sit back and make sure I do this properly. So I sat down for basically all of 22 and put this kind of plan together from like the start of 2023 until the end, just to be making noise, playing shows, releasing good singles, all building up to my debut album coming out. So it's like there's a lot of work in 2022, I guess, since we talked last. And I got this idea. So I want to record a record. I've always wanted to record an album, and I started my first album in Calgary, Alberta. I was working in Calgary with a producer named Maddie McKay. I'm sure you're familiar with, really legendary CCMA guitar player. And he produced my first 8 songs, and I always thought we were so close to being done on my first record. We are gonna package it like an album, put it out because we already had some singles out, and then the pandemic hit, so we didn't get to finish it. So then I was like, I really want to do my debut record to make noise and have something like a catalog of work to show people to try to build my career. So I come down here and I went to the studio and it was like, we're going to record an 11-song album. And then when we were looking at songs, we actually picked a song on the record called That Was Then, This Is Now, where me, a crazy marketing mind kid, just goes, oh, how cool would it be if it's a double album? Because at the time, Morgan Wallen did it, Eric Church was doing it. And I was like, I should put Side Then and Side Now. So that's kind of what I end up doing. I have Side Then to kick off the record, which is the first, all the songs I did with Maddie McKay in Calgary. And then That Was In This Is Now hits. And then all that is Side Now, which is my new record out of Nashville. So it's 20 songs in total of kind of everything I've done up to date. But it was a 4 year in the making album. But it's kind of, if you listen to it from top down, you can kind of hear the growth because it starts in Calgary and turns into kind of where I am as an artist and a writer in Nashville now.
Hey, patience is a virtue. It really is. And you got a lot of that.
Yeah, I don't though. I have to be told that a lot, but like that was somewhere where I was like, I won't advance as an artist in my career if I don't make a change. I had to do something different instead of just getting a song, getting excited and throwing it out. And I've talked to a lot of friends about that recently, just like getting the songs and like showing people what you have before just like throwing it out there. And that was a big lesson I had learned and it's like really changed the needle, or getting like showing people at, Apple and Spotify before and they're excited about it. They're like, I can't wait to support this rather than being out and being like, oh, have you guys heard it? They're exclusively hearing it or radio and stuff like that. And they're really making people feel like they're a part of breaking you. So it's been a cool year. And yeah, we did the whole thing and released the album in September. Then did my first headlining tour in October, and that was all like planned for like I planned all that like 16 months before. So it was a big business plan. It took a lot of time and planning, but we got to the end of it. So it feels like it felt like a good breath of fresh air over the holidays, just like not working for a couple weeks.
Honestly, Ben, there's so much I want to touch on here. I mean, you really did have a full eventful year, but going to your debut album, kind of take me through. I know you were talking about how it's the double album, but I want to go through some songs. Like, what song on there means the most to you?
Personally, right now, it is probably, well, there's all different meanings why I like some, but personally, my favorite song is probably Saltwater Cowboy, just because I feel like people just understand who I am. And like, obviously people out east respond to that song like, oh, they relate to it. But then also like if I'm in Calgary playing that for people who have never met me, they kind of understand where I am, where I come from, right? And it's just like I love that song because like I literally wrote it after playing a rodeo. I got off stage and I was literally wearing like Chelsea boots and dressed like normal and not like a cowboy. And this old man was like, how do you know like so many George Strait songs and Vince Gill? And I was like, well, I'm just a saltwater cowboy. It's a whole different kind of country, and I'm not going to show up here and wear no cowboy hat and all this stuff and, look a little like I'm just not gonna I'm gonna be true to who I am and just a different kind of country. And we farm on the ocean. It's a little different out east. So it's like just grew up at country in a different way in the fishing community, right?
That's completely fair. And PEI is gorgeous. So, to all the people who have never been to the East Coast, we recommend that you go out there because it is
Big
stunning.
time.
The beaches, I feel like nobody thinks that we have such beautiful places in Canada because we just think Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. You think flatland, you think the Rocky Mountains, yeah, but you don't really think beaches. But East Coast, it's stunning out there.
Yeah, it's funny too. And I tell people down here, I'm like, oh, I'm from an island. They're like, Hawaii? I'm like, no, an island in the East Coast in Canada. They're like, there's an island there? Like, yeah. I'm like, you can swim in the water? They're like, they ask me, like, yeah, you can swim. They're like, what? It's not that cold. I'm like, well, not in the summertime. You definitely can't in the winter, but in the summertime you can. Like, it's so nice out there. And yeah, I think PES is super underrated. Like, I mean, I don't want to say it too much because I don't want too many people to show up at those beaches because they're so nice and heavenly. Nobody's on them. It's so nice and private, and that's just so nice. Yeah, I love it out there. I
Um,
definitely spend a lot of my summers out there.
How could you not? Honestly, Canada is gorgeous from like West Coast to the East Coast. I mean, minus maybe Manitoba. I'm not afraid to say it. I'll say it. Like minus Manitoba. Everywhere else is stunning in Canada. Um,
Yeah, you're right.
but you're from the East Coast and you got to perform at home. I think you were performing at some high schools when you were back at home. So how was that? Like, they must have meant so much to you, especially to your family as well.
Yeah, it was cool because going home, like I said in my album release tour, and we had a big year and a lot of really cool things happened. And so I really want to go home and play. Um, but it was just my tour was in the fall, and literally the only like 500-ish person venue and within an hour away from where I live. Like there's only one venue, and it was in my high school. And because it's a full-on theater.
How big is your high school? Was it big?
I think the whole school has 300 people like in it from grade 10, 11, and 12. Like it's a small school, but they have a really big theater there. Back in the day, it was used a lot more, but it's not very often used for concerts. But I was trying to find a place because like the only kind of theater, when like Gore Bamford was just on tour, he played a spot called the Harborfront Theater, which would be about an hour from my hometown because we live like way out in the sticks, like an hour from the closest Walmart. Like that's how far it is.
An hour from a Walmart?
Yeah, and where I'm from is about 30 minutes from the closest Tim Hortons, and that's like straight highway driving, not even like turning down roads. So like the town with the Walmart, which is called Summerside, would be like where typical artists stop, like because it's got like a nice 1,000-person venue, or maybe a bit bigger. But I want to have somewhere that my community come, and I want to have it all ages. So I couldn't do it like at a big bar because I have a lot of, young fans that like, watch me in my hometown. And I was like, I want to make sure we do it. So we did it at my high school. It was really cool. It sold out. And then actually whenever we were doing sound check, the principal like mentioned, do you want to like do a show for the school? So we got to like I got on the intercom and called all the kids down, and they all came down. We played a concert for them, and it was great because we actually did it as like part of our sound check. Actually, we were like dialing in all of our mixes on stage. So for the big sold out show that night, we would be like all sounding great. So it was good little dress rehearsal and just played like 4 or 5 songs for the kids, and yeah, it was really cool. Just like play my community and also just like have everyone kind of show up to support on a Tuesday night.
On a Tuesday night. Yeah, that's big. They came out
Yeah,
to
it was
support
awesome.
the hometown boy though.
Yeah, it was a really cool, like really cool full circle moment, you know?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it must be so surreal when you get to go back home and to play. And like you've accomplished so much. And quite frankly, to you, it might feel like it's been a long time coming. But it's been like only a couple of years when you really think about it. But like as an artist, it's something that obviously it takes time to like get to where you want to be. But when it happens like this and it just rolls like 2023 for you. Like it just all kind of skyrockets.
Yeah, it's true. Like even like for example, 20 just to show like, you know, what I see the amount of growth like 2022. I did a Christmas show, which it sold out too, but it was just at like a 170-person venue and it sold out like the day of. So it didn't like there was no like demand for tickets. It was like last minute people coming. And it was like Christmas at a local community hall. And this was like the Sunday, or this was in 2021. That was my last hard ticket event that I did. And then I just said I need to take a break. I can't play this market too much. I love the people there, but I want to make it special when I come back. So I'm going to wait till my album release. So I didn't really play any of the festivals. I just kind of waited back until, you know, till my album came out. So it could be like a special celebration. So it was like crazy to see like we basically three times ticket sales just in like a year.
That's insane. But you have to also give thanks to like TikTok as well. TikTok and like
Yeah,
socials, you can really
big
grow your
time.
audience big time. And also with like networking and being good at your craft, that like is a given. But like taking like social media seriously, you can grow a lot. And I remember your followings too. Like when I first started following you, you're near 20,000 now on Instagram, and you were not near that when I first started following you. But like
Yeah.
you know how to market yourself, and I give you credit for that. I really do.
Yeah, it's cool. It's been a journey. Like back when I first moved to Alberta in 2018, I really worked social media. So that's one thing like I'm proud to say I got a full list of real followers, no bots there. So that's a nice thing. No shade thrown, but I love that. Yeah. So, you know, my account shows that I have about 20,000 followers. My ticket sales seem about normal when I go out on tour, and I'm proud of that. It doesn't seem like why are none of these 20,000 showing up for shows? They are, and it's awesome that we can actually, you know, build that organically over the years, have a good relationship with a lot of people that, like on my Instagram, a lot of my following and TikTok and stuff, and they're actually, you know, real humans who will come out to watch my show. So it's really cool that I built that organically over the last few years. It's awesome.
I see when you like do shows, lots of people post videos of you and they'll tag you in them and you repost them. Like your stories seem like they're never ending. It's just like next, okay, another artist, someone else. So it's so crazy. But for I noticed that the most for the Calgary Stampede. I want to talk about that. You killed it, first off. Like killed it. I watched the videos. Just take me through all of that. How was that for you?
Yeah, it actually started. So it's been the last 2 years that I've had these insane slots at Calgary Stampede. Um, and I just lucked into yeah, building great friendships with Cowboys. And they have like hands down the best like music festival at Stampede. Like they go all out. This year they have like Tate McRae playing her very first show ever in her hometown of Calgary as a headliner. They have Bailey Zimmerman announced as a headliner. Like they have so many big, like they bring in big headliners, right? So they had reached out to me about opening or doing some sets, and it was super last minute. And I was just in Nashville, and I was like, yeah, I'll come up if you guys can get us on this. So we that year we ended up opening up for trying to remember we so that year we ended up opening for Zach Brown band. I was fired up, right? But looking back, so get this story. Looking back is crazy because they called me. We were opening for Zach Brown band on a Tuesday, and like when I say open, I don't mean like we're playing a side stage while they're the headliner. We were on stage right before them, which is crazy, right? They're so big. They're like
Yeah, of
worldwide level act,
course.
and so they called me on Sunday, and there was another show on Monday, and Brothers Osborne was playing, and they said, "Hey, we actually had a slot open because we played a couple shows the week before at Stampede as well for them, just party sets. And they're like, wow, that, they're really liking our show and really happy with it. And they're like, we just had a slot open for Brothers Osborne. Do you want to come and do it like before them? So I was like, sure. They're like, hey, you're gonna play before their opener. So we came in, played our set. It was packed. And then after us, a guy by the name of Zach Bryan opened up for Brothers Osborne with his full band. So I get to say to this day that I was like direct support for Zach Bryan, which is pretty crazy. And then after him, Brothers Osborne went on, which is crazy. That was just 2 summers ago to see how big he's gotten. But yeah, so that was kind of where I was at. Had a great relationship with them. And then obviously we negotiated to bring me back this year or last summer. So we went back this year, and this year we got to open up for Dustin Lynch. They're really cool. I got to be direct support for Sam Hunt, which is awesome. Big Sam Hunt fan. So it is really cool just to play before him and get to see his show. And that's the one where you see that I brought my grandpa up on stage. So I knew that would be like, we're talking 10 to 12,000 people in the crowd. So it's like it's a really cool experience. And I get to do it like once a year. And yeah, it's really cool. And maybe we'll be back this year. We'll see what happens.
Okay, wait, let's talk about that because honestly, that moment was really beautiful. Like I sound so sappy when I say that, but it really was. My mom, like, she saw the video, she followed
Yeah,
on Instagram.
she's the best.
She doesn't stop talking about that moment. But how was that for your grandpa? Like, and the response too from the crowd was so like wholesome.
They went insane. Yeah. It was literally an idea that I had, like, sort of just came in my mind when I was playing there the summer before, because it all came together like on like 2 weeks notice when they offered us the shows. And I
Mhm.
get out there, I was like, when I first went on stage the first time with 10,000 people, my hand was a little shaky. And I played a lot of shows in front of full crowds. But I went out and I was like, this is a big crowd. And then I was like, on stage, and I'm thinking, I'm like, I wish, like, my grandpa has played music for 60 years. And I was thinking this the summer before. I was like, I wish he had the chance to experience this like I do, and back in those days, like he's a rock star. He's played in bands forever, and he's like really good. He's not just like some old guy that plays. He's actually really good and he can entertain a crowd. But the thing was, he didn't grow up in the era with like social media, TikTok, and all that stuff, right? So they never really had a chance back then, especially if you weren't around Nashville or like Toronto, like in the small town in PEI, like, there's no chance like you could ever get really noticed. Because being like noticed, it was actually like a thing back then, not so much getting noticed on social media. Like, getting noticed in a bar was actually a real thing back then. And so he's been a rock star his whole life. And then I went out in June to PEI to shoot my Saltwater Cowboy music video. And usually every time I go for, dinner with my mom and dad and my 4 grandparents. And then so we just had dinner. I just brought it up to my grandpa. I just said like, hey, it's a wild idea, but my mom and dad had to miss the summer before too. So like by the time it was 2 weeks notice, like Stampede flights are so expensive. It was like 3 grand for them to fly across the country to come. So they're just like, sorry, we can't come this year, but they were booked to come out for the second year. Like, we're not missing that. And I said, like, you know what? I said, let's get you a flight out with mom and dad so you don't have to fly by yourself. And I said, if you want, I said, we'd love to bring you out and bring you up on stage. And just like kind of you've been bringing me on stage since I was 3 years old. And I just want to like give you that moment. We have so many videos of like me 3 years old on stage singing with the guitar. And I was just like, a cool way that like it didn't cost me nothing to give him that experience, but like to give back to him for what he did to me and kind of like help shape me as an entertainer growing up. Cause that guy had me on stage every single weekend. Like when I was 3 till I was like 8, I would go to every show and get up and play a few songs. And so it's a really cool way to kind of, give back without like just in the smallest way, but like for him to experience like, he's 81, 82 now. So he's like, he'll never be, unfortunately, he'll never be a 30-year-old country music star now. But it's like at least he got to feel kind of what it's like for one night. And that's like, that's kind of what I want him just to at least experience that after all the years of work he's put in. So
Of course. Oh my gosh, he must be so proud of you. That moment, like when he walked out onto the stage and just saw the crowd and just saw the crowd that his own grandson, was playing in front of, that's such a proud granddad feeling.
yeah, it was wild. Like, yeah, still wild to think about. But yeah.
Well, I think you need to do it again because
Yeah, we've done it
everyone
again.
wants it back.
He actually came out of my because that video went like viral on the internet, right? Millions of views. And So he actually came out on my tour, and like because everyone's seen that video like at my high school show, I just said, "Oh man," I said, "You guys are working me hard." And I walked off stage and I grabbed the rocking chair and I just set it out. And I didn't even have to introduce my grandpa. Everyone started like cheering. And then he walked out and kicked it over and sang his song. And he came out in Charlottetown and did it as well. And yeah, it was just cool that like it's kind of like so maybe this summer he'll make a few more appearances. Don't know if you'll want to fly back to Calgary again. That's a good haul, but we do have some East Coast shows, so I may bring him out. It's fun. It's fun for me. It's like a part of my show that's just like, yeah, it's cool. Like people love that, just seeing him get that experience. And like I said, he's actually good. It's not like he gets up there and it kills the crowd. He rocks right out with my guitar players, and people just love seeing that. So
That's awesome. Soon he's gonna take over your spot. You're out.
yeah, he might actually.
They're gonna be wanting to come watch him perform and not you.
Yeah, somebody saw my grandpa.
Seriously. Has your family ever, I'm sure they have, but have they ever come down to visit you in Nashville? Have they ever seen like your Broadway shows?
Yeah, so when I was playing on Broadway, when I first moved down, they've been down. Yeah, my mom and dad come down usually once or twice a year, and like my aunt and uncle came. My grandparents haven't been down yet, but waiting for like a really special moment that I'm working for here. So whenever maybe something cool happens, my whole family will come down. But
Yeah.
we're just gonna keep working behind the scenes, and maybe there will be like a festival or something that I end up playing or a really big show that they want to come down for. But they will come down, I'm sure, one more time. My grandpa, like Alfie guy who's been on stage. He's been to Nashville like 10 times, but not since I've lived here. So
Yeah.
so he said he'll make one more trip whenever the time's right.
Hey, maybe CMA Fest. That's a big one.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Put that out there. You never know. Or at the CMA Awards.
We're in the universe.
We're putting it out
Gotta
there.
grow.
Yeah, atta girl. We got the same mindset. You got to think big. You got to think big.
Gotta think big, big time.
But now, actually, thinking big, what else is in store for you? What's in store for Ben Chase in 2024?
Yeah, so we're just now that I have a team, we're just currently just picking out the next steps. And it's kind of like how I did in 2022, where it's like I'm in no rush. My record just came out. I still have, a single doing really well. This is now just out at radio. It's still doing good. And my music's still streaming good off the record. It's still kind of new, right? It's still a new record because it came out before Christmas and then go through all the Christmas music first. So it's like still kind of new. So right now it's just, yeah, it's a time of like strategy. We're just right now listening through songs. I'm writing songs every day. We're picking songs to go in the studio with. We haven't even been in the studio yet, so we gotta studio them up and then we gotta show them around and make a game plan. So it'll probably be, a couple months before I release maybe one single before the summer, just to have something kind of to show where I'm heading. But yeah, for now it's just right now it's just kind of back to the drawing board and how I can make more noise than I did last year, because that's gonna be hard, which
I
I love.
can't,
I love a good challenge.
I can't wait to see how much noise you're gonna make this year.
It's gonna be wild.
We're only going up from here. Only going up from here. But yeah, you got a lot of songs already out that people are still digesting because it is still a fairly new album. I still have to say though, my favorite one on it is still an old song of yours. Guess, can you guess?
Is it like
It's an older song still.
all over it?
Yeah, I still love
That
that.
was the first one I ever released.
I know, but I love that song. I don't know. Every time
Yeah.
it comes on my playlist, I'm like, yeah, like it's a good one. Your other stuff's good too. I remember when you played Saltwater
Yeah.
Cowboy for me. Like your stuff's all good, but I don't know. That one just has a hold on my
Oh,
heart.
that's cool.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was like luckily that was the first song I ever released, and like I know it's a banger. Like it's a great it's still one of my biggest songs. Like people know that song, especially in Canada. It's very well known. Like it's surprising how many people know that. And yeah, I'll still play that one in my last set. I have no option but to. Like on my tour, I had to pick some, I played all over it. I played In My Truck Girl. I played Nights Like This, a couple of my bigger songs, but then I couldn't not because there were such people wanted to hear them, so those
Sorry.
ones I'll still play this summer out and stuff like that too. So yeah, it's interesting like picking a set list when you have a 20 song record, but you're only doing like a 30 or 45 minute set opening. It's
Yeah.
like you gotta pick your bangers.
Like how do you weave out like the songs when they're all your babies and you love every single one? That must be so hard.
Yeah, it is. And then like, I try to be the entertainer on my live show. So like Michael, my band leader, is like, no ballads, no ballads. I'm like, just one. That's all we do is usually just one because I
You
need the
need
rest of the
one.
thing high energy. Yeah, but my record has like 7 ballads though, so I'm like, it does make it easier to pick songs.
That's fair. That's fair. Oh well, I'm so excited to see everything that like is on your plate for 2024. I have a good feeling about this year, just like last year was so great for you.
Hell yeah.